Thank you so much, Inhorgenta, for inviting me, and thank you very much for being here today. As it has been said in the introduction, I'm a journalist. I write for the New York Times, Financial Times, Vogue Business. And in my work, I focus on looking at the business side of jewelry, but also the history and the trends as well. And so I'm very happy to be here today because we are going to have a look at what has changed in the past 10 years. So we're going to go on a little time journey throughout the last 10 years and see what has changed in terms of markets, what are the markets to look at. We're going to look at the products and the product categories, how they have evolved over the past 10 years. We are also going to look at the impact of technology, because there have been many technological innovations that have had an impact on the industry. And we will also be looking at the shifting consumer preferences, because obviously it is consumers that drive this industry. So we are going to look at what has happened, what has changed, what is driving the industry now, and where we need to keep our eyes on. But before we look at that, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge what has happened in the past 10 years in the industry. And so, as you can see, the jewelry business has grown threefold across the past 10 years. According to the latest figures provided by McKinsey, last year, the jewelry business reached $300 billion. So this is enormous. And this is not only incredible per se, that it has tripled basically in little over 10 years, but also, there's an interesting twist, that only 40% of the jewelry business of this 300 billion euros is made up of branded jewelry. And obviously, nobody needs a PhD to understand that the opportunity in this remaining 60% is absolutely huge. However, this is the opportunity is there. Jewelry is one of the most resilient categories, according to the latest figures provided by Bain Consultancy and McKinsey, in this slump that is commonplace at the moment across the luxury goods industry. Jewelry is resilient, is doing well, it has grown. However, the growth is not spread equally. And although the opportunity is there, it is not a walk in the park. Also because in this park, maybe, there are so many wild beasts. There are panthers, there are snakes, so it is quite difficult. And what I mean by that is that it is true that the jewelry market has grown, but it is also true that it is the biggest players that have grown much more than anyone else. So for instance, Cartier last year reached they reached $10 billion US dollars in turnover, and Bulgari tripled in size and reached 3.5 billion euros in turnover last year. And this in only the little span of 10 years. And you need to consider that we also had the COVID crisis within these 10 years. So how did these brands achieve such a phenomenal growth? The key lies in this very laser-focused strategy, which was focusing on the icons. So in the past 10 years, we can see that all brands have focused on creating an iconic design. An iconic design is simply a piece of jewelry which is immediately recognizable in its design, and it can be stretched across various price points. So you can have the same design at a very affordable price, and you can have the same design at a very expensive price, high jewelry level, if you add gemstones, if you add incredible natural diamonds, but you can also have it at a very affordable price without any gemstone. The very first icon you can see here It was launched in 1914. It was not meant to be an icon because at that time, that notion didn't even exist. But it just so happened that that particular design, which was Trinity by Cartier, just happened to stick along for generation after generation. It meant various things. It was simply three wedding bands woven together. And it's also a design which per se was not particularly original because it already existed in the Slavic tradition. So it is sort of a wedding band that existed across various Slavic peoples. And Cartier simply took this design and made it iconic, as they only could do, basically. And this basically last year celebrated 100 years of this iconic design, Trinity. As you can see, there were not many iconic designs launched between 1914 and 2004, basically. So there are very few. There was obviously the Panther, there was Trinity, there was Penti by Bulgari. Sorry, I just realized that I said that Trinity was 1914, but Trinity was launched in 1924, and Panther, the first Cartier icon, was actually launched in 1914. It was actually made into, it was a sort of very abstract design for a watch. Anyhow, what I wanted you to focus on is that in the past 10 years, so between 2010 until now, the number of iconic designs that jewellery houses have tried to launch and sustain with marketing has tremendously increased. So we see that Boucheron launched Jacques de Boucheron. We have also Cartier trying to also establish Clash as an icon. There has been Chaumet with the Be My Love. It is a strategy that has been adopted by Tiffany with the launch of the Knot first, and more recently the Lock, that has had also a great success. But obviously all this is part because we have the means to support designs across various channels. If in the past it was just word of mouth, nowadays there is Instagram, there are social media, Instagram, anything you can think of, basically. However, there have been also challenges in the industry. And one of the challenges that I always mention when people ask me what has changed in the past 10 years, and one of the biggest changes, the impact of technology. And the main impact technology has had was the introduction of lab-grown diamonds. Lab-grown diamonds have been around since the 1950s, to be sure. However, it is only recently, and when I say recently, it's really specifically the last 10 years, that the technology has improved and the technology has become so affordable that has attracted a lot of investment. By attracting a lot of investment, lab-grown diamonds have become also very affordable. It's much easier to buy lab-grown diamonds. And lab-grown diamond prices have gone down as a result. However, what happened is that it is true that lab-grown diamonds are growing tremendously. And only last year in the US, 50% of all the diamonds sold were actually lab-grown diamonds. So this is quite an interesting data. And lab-grown diamonds for sure are here to stay. And for sure, they are going to pose a challenge for everyone in the business that is trading in natural diamonds. However, the good thing in life and in business is that whenever there is a challenge, there's always an opportunity. So the thing is with lab-grown diamonds is that they are all incredibly perfect. They are flawless. They are so perfect, and there are so many of them. And it is so easy to make lab-grown diamonds. I mean, even the term lab is a little bit abused because it's actually factory-made diamonds. You only have a few people working there. And these diamonds come out as popcorn, so really very easily. Anyhow, and they are also flawless. So why don't embrace the imperfection of diamonds as the industry has done, the jewelry industry has done with colored gemstones? When we see an emerald, we look for imperfections. We look for what is called gardens, jardin. So all these inclusions in the stones, they make the stone much more interesting. They really give character to the stone. It feels like the stone has a soul. And so it is interesting to see that nowadays jewelers are starting to connect with the imperfections that are natural to diamonds as well. So for instance, we see that jewelers are starting to use brown diamonds, which were considered ugly diamonds in the past. Or we are also seeing highly included diamonds because, yeah, there's something special in that. And by the way, you can't get them out of the lab. The lab is only focusing on producing the most perfect diamond that can ever exist. Another thing is that technology also gives us the opportunity to track diamonds, and traceability is quite important for consumers and for everyone purchasing a diamond, because we want to know where it comes from and we want to know that it has pure origins. So at the moment there are incredible tools to track diamond, to trace diamond, not only to the mine, but I've seen also tools that trace diamonds back to the exact spot within the mine where the diamond comes from, where a certain diamond comes from. And so I find it fascinating, extraordinary. And another thing is that when you trace back diamonds to the place of origin, you can also find the community that has benefited from the mines. And this is a claim that no lab-grown diamond can have, because basically lab-grown diamonds benefit only a handful of people. Whereas whenever a mine is opened, you see that new jobs are created, a school is open, a hospital is open. So you really see that there are thousands of people benefiting from the diamond industry, sort of the natural diamonds. So this is obviously the presence of lab-grown diamonds is a challenge, but it can also be turned into an opportunity. And certainly we do not know, obviously, the million-dollar question that I'm always asked: will established jewelers use lab-grown diamonds? This is something we don't know, and they don't know, and I don't know whether that's really going to be impacted by the fluctuation of prices of lab-grown diamonds. I think it's just consumers that will decide in the end. Because sometimes I think of lab-grown diamonds like the Apple Watch for the watch industry. Everyone was scared when the Apple Watch arrived on the horizon, thinking, oh my gosh, nobody is going to buy mechanical watches anymore. But in fact, it had the opposite effect. It got people interested in wearing something on the wrist. And then, the new generations considered a proper watch, a mechanical watch, as a sort of a graduating experience, a sort of an improved version of a watch. Obviously, we have to know that a normal watch, mechanical watch, only tells the time, whereas obviously the Apple Watch has many more functions. But it's just to say that there is always an opportunity, and it's possible that the lab-grown diamonds can make people interested in natural diamonds, as we can see now is happening with pearls as well. There are cultured pearls, but there is also a resurgence of interest in natural pearls too. And when we talk about technology, something that is very important for every brand to master is this game of being at the same time available in a physical world and in a digital world, because they have to work seamlessly together. So because we are in a sort of world that I like to call phygital, where the physical experience and the digital experience are merged in a way. And so obviously we can see that a high jewelry event that takes place in Rome, it can be broadcast live across social media, it can be experienced by thousands of people. And at the same time, we find ourselves browsing for a piece of jewelry in a store and then ending up buying it online, or vice versa. We browse in store and we purchase it. Vice versa, we browse online, we purchase in store. Anything is possible in this new digital world. And obviously, it has to do with the shifting preferences of consumers. And there are also opportunities in the fact that men are warming up to jewelry. Obviously, men have worn jewelry across time. You just have to look at portraits of kings and just to realize that jewelry has always been part of the culture of men as well, of adorning themselves. But it is true that in the last, I would say, 50 years, Western men have only had one piece of jewelry, which was their wristwatch, basically, in a way. However, if we look at India, Indian men love jewelry. They have always bought it in the past, and they're still buying it, and they're big consumers of jewelry, especially during the period of weddings as well. It is part of that tradition, so definitely there is an opportunity there. And speaking of India, this is something that is very interesting to notice, that everyone always says India is going to be the next thing, and maybe India is going to be the new China. And it's true that India has tremendously grown from an economic point of view, and that the population of India has overtaken the population of China and is home to 185 billionaires. So it has certainly the means to be a big market for jewelry. However, what is true is that India has specific needs and specific tastes, and it has a long tradition in jewelry. And so there are so many jewelers in India who have strong ties with families. And what has happened is that Western brands are struggling to get to grow in India, while Indian jewelers are actually thriving abroad because they have the support of the diaspora across the globe. So, but again, as I said, there are always opportunities. So, for instance, Bulgari managed to adapt some of its design to the traditions and the heritage of India, because in India there is this tradition of engagement ring, which is very, very new. However, people use a necklace to signify that they are engaged, the Mangal Sutra. And Bulgari had this idea of adapting one of its designs to the tradition of the Indian market. So there is a way to enter the market. However, it is true that it is Indian jewelers who are expanding in the West at the moment. And obviously there is an opportunity for retailers or big luxury groups, because obviously they have a certain know-how, they have a certain taste, and they obviously already have a certain interest from consumers across the globe. But obviously there is not only India, there is not only China, which at the moment is struggling. There are also markets in Southeast Asia that are growing phenomenally. It only suffices to go to a high jewelry event. If you attend a high jewelry event, you will see that there are many buyers coming from Thailand and Vietnam, the Philippines. These regions are going through a real boom, and they're really sustaining the growth of the jewelry industry at the moment. So it is always worth going around, keeping your eyes open, and see what can be done. Because obviously, yes, the jewelry business, as I like to look at it, it's a global business by nature. Gems are mined in a certain country, they are shipped to another country where they are assembled, set in jewelry, and then this final piece of jewelry is sent to another country to be sold and bought. And so obviously it's a business which is global by nature, and it's always worth traveling around, meeting new people, as we are doing here in Munich today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Milena. Any questions for Milena? Yeah.
Hi, thank you for the talk. You mentioned male jewelry for men. Could you elaborate a little bit more? Like, at what stage would you say men are in regards to, like, Western men, in regards to wearing jewelry again? Are they already as extravagant as 200 years ago, or?
Okay, so first of all, yes, thank you very much for your question. As I said, one of the first, for the past 50 years, as I said, the jewelry box of men was limited to one piece, which was the wristwatch. And it is interesting that it is precisely the wrist that men are starting to adorn. And bracelets, we see a lot of bracelets that are being sold to men. So we can see that Love by Cartier, these iconic designs, Love by Cartier or Jus Saint Cloud or Alhambra. I spoke to executives and they were telling me that without any type of promotion, people are buying, for instance, Alhambra. Alhambra at the moment is very hot among men. I don't know why. There's no promotion done by Van Cleef. There's no, I don't even think they have the right sizes for them. Probably they have increased the size recently, but it was a phenomenon actually. And even if you go through Instagram, you will see a lot of men wearing Alhambra or anyhow diamond bracelets as well. So I would say that the wrist has been the very first place that's got the interest of men. But obviously there are also necklaces and rings as well. But I would say these parts of the body, like the wrist and the neck, are sort of the favorite zones. Obviously, we can see a lot of jewelry on the red carpet. There have been lots of men wearing brooches on the red carpet. And now if you attend a high jewelry event or you see a high jewelry event broadcast on social media, you will see that there are not only female models wearing the jewelry, there are also men. And this is not only because they are trying to promote that, it's simply because men are genuinely interested in jewelry. They buy it, maybe not because they want to wear it every day, maybe they want to wear it on special occasion, just like women as well. But it is happening, and so you can see that there is an interest. And at the moment, jewelry houses are also promoting this much more, even in high jewelry. So the opportunity is definitely there. I don't know if I answered your question. Okay, thank you.